are you?
I'm good. Thank you for asking. How are you doing?
I'm well. I'm well for a Tuesday morning. I think it's Tuesday. Yep, for a
Yes,
Tuesday morning.
yes, we're recording on Tuesday. And the beautiful thing is that this happens to be showing on a Wednesday, but we're as part as a mindset community, right? We are always sharing with each other. It's so important that you think about what your two-word story is for yourself. It's a moment of self-care when you ask yourself, what is my two-word story? But then as a community, we're asking those around us, what is your two-word story? What is yours? It's a moment of reflection. You don't even realize the power it has for you to decide on two words to fuel your mind for the day, the week, the month, the year, whatever it may be. So this week I have a beautiful guest and I can't wait for you guys to meet her. If you can introduce yourself and everything about you.
Ooh, okay. I did center myself up there.
Oh, no,
Make it
you're good.
better. My name is Sammi Mendenhall. I am originally from Ohio. I now live in Jersey City, New Jersey. I have extreme wanderlust, and I have gone from Ohio to let me back that up for a second. So I'm originally from Ohio, and I've moved many different places because of my career and because I have extreme wanderlust, meaning my background is in news. I was a writer producer, and when you're in news, you want to move to the next market up. And so that's what I did. I started out in Atlanta, moved to Richmond, Virginia, then moved to Seattle, and then that was my last station, and then I moved to Los Angeles, where I fell into casting unscripted programming. So before, I was in news as a writer-producer. Then, when I went to LA, I became a casting director for unscripted. So the first big show I did was The Amazing Race. And, I've done some other shows along the way that I don't really talk about that much anymore. One show that I did do up until recently, because we're no longer in production, is Flea Market Flip. So that was a national show that had such a huge fan base, but they didn't bring it back. We did 13 seasons of that. And then I moved to New York City from LA, and then I started my company casting mostly branded content. And that means casting authentic stories for major brands. So from Clorox to Walt Disney World and things in between. I'm also a producer, so that means I develop concepts and around people and causes and so on and so forth. And so my Emmy right here is for a campaign that I wrote and produced about food allergies, which I don't have a food allergy, but I realized through conversations with people and through a program I saw, or I should say through an interview I saw with the father on the news, he was crying about his son who had passed away from food allergies because his school didn't realize that cheese was dairy. And then I heard about another one. I said, okay, there has to be something, we have to do something.
Right.
And by we, I mean me. And I reached out to some organizations. They jumped on board. They partnered with me. And we won an Emmy under my company, Sammi Mendenhall Creative, which is, by the way, that was my third nomination. I've been nominated twice before when I was in news. And now it's like under my own company, I won an Emmy. But to back up real quick, before moving from LA to New York, a friend of mine, when I was living in LA, he goes, what are you doing for your 40th birthday? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Is that a thing? And he said, well, yeah. He goes, do you want to go to the North Pole? And I said, what do you mean? I said, yeah, I'd love to go to Alaska because I'd love to see Mendenhall Glacier. He's like, no. He goes, I mean to the North Pole. He's like, well, be aboard a Russian icebreaker for 18 days. And I'm like, okay, let's do this. And so we went to the North Pole on my 40th birthday under a total eclipse. That's why most of the people were going. So it was the highest point on the planet where you could see the totality.
Oh, yeah.
And at first, we were on an icebreaker. It wasn't like the Love Boat. It wasn't like a Disney cruise. It was a Russian icebreaker. So there were no frills. And I was wondering why so many people, I mean, people follow eclipses. Like that's a hobby, right? Like all over the world. And I was like, what's wrong with these people? So when it happened, it had been daylight for, I think like 17 days, let's just say. August 1st, which was my birthday, it was as if somebody like flipped a switch, it went dark, and then it went light again. And it was soul changing. It was soul changing. And after I came back, I went back to LA, and I thought, you know what? I'm moving to New York. And I did so within 6 months, because that, when I say it was soul changing, to be under a total eclipse, it was like the energy, you know, the energetic force was just like, just do it now, stop waiting. So I moved on January, I think actually New Year's Eve, and then January 1st, I was in my apartment.
Wow.
So on Wall Street. And everyone's like, oh, are you in finance? I'm like, no, very far from it. So, but yeah. And so now, you know, things are good. You know, I'm doing my thing here in Jersey City. Oh, by the way, so I moved to Montreal after New York.
Wow.
And then you know, I just needed a breather from Manhattan. And then I moved down to Jersey City because my soul couldn't go back into Manhattan, which I'm glad it didn't, because I don't know what I would have done living in Manhattan right now during COVID. So yeah,
Wow.
that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah. So my mind, as you were sharing, I was like blown, mind blown. Like you're just so accomplished and confident, and you've accomplished so much.
Thank you.
I very much, Two-Word Story, as, you know, talking a lot about mindset. Astrology is very powerful when it comes to our energy, because we're all energy. Our mindset can be really, you don't realize what's happening up in the cosmos above with the moon, with the eclipses. It actually does something to our soul's feeling and how we're even day to day. So I love that you shared that. And I truly believe that that moment in time just put you like 100 levels up in where you were supposed to be. Whereas sometimes those levels take years and years and years to go up, 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 up. But you being under the energy of that eclipse, like, wow, that like just catapulted you. So cool.
Yeah, I changed the trajectory of a lot in my life at that time, a lot. But speaking of astrology, I've always been into astrology. I grew up with my mother who does charts and what have you. So over my other shoulder, there's the lion, because I'm Alia, birthday's August 1st. And then it's funny because that's my funky monkey. Now, when I bought him, I didn't even know that I was a wood monkey in Chinese astrology.
Yes.
And that his tail forms an S. And it sounds like I have a huge ego, but I am a Leo. But
no, it's so beautiful. The synchronicities, that's what that is. That's not an ego, that's synchronicity. And that is powerful when you as a human being and your soul can actually, you can be as a human being faithful and have a faith to some sort of religion, but you also can be spiritual on the side as well and connected to those things like the numerology and the astrologies and there's all kinds of signs around us. We have our spirit team always there. So this conversation, I love these kinds of things. Not your ego. I think it's wonderful. And for those pressing play and hearing this conversation, like take in these little nuggets, like they're powerful things that you're hearing for a reason. So, so knowing all that we know now about your beautiful self, I must know, what is your 2-word story? Dying to know.
My 2-word story is I am.
That's it.
That's it. And you know, when I signed up to do this, I was searching, what is my 2-word story? I'm like, wait a minute, it's right in front of my face. It's what I say every day, you know? And I know that a lot of people probably use it because it's not that, you know, original. But for me, when I was growing up, my name is Sammi. So people always say, Sam, I am, green eggs and ham. I'm like, what? You know? So I kind of incorporated that now into my adult life, where every morning I do what I call my Mendenhall mantras, because that's my last name. I do my Mendenhall mantras. and there are 8 of them, but I will share one of them. And can I share?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
So it's, and I have it written down, but I don't know why I wrote it down, but it's, I am happy, I am healthy, I am wealthy, and I am in love.
Wow.
Now, I say that 3 times in different order because I started noticing I am an extremely happy person. I know, who I am. I know where I've been, and I hope I know where I'm going. I am healthy. I've always been healthy. I am wealthy. Now that's the 3rd one down, and we're still working on that. We're still working on them. And then I'm in love, and that's the last one. And I started thinking to myself, maybe you should change these things up to see what, you don't want to put importance on one word every single day, right? You want to change it up. You want to change the energy around that. So I started changing that up. But in the big picture, when I did come up with that, I am happy, I'm healthy, I am wealthy, and I'm in love. That was the importance for me. Yeah. I'm one of those people who feels like I don't need to be in love with someone else to be whole. No. I know the difference between being alone and being lonely, and I am my own best company. So for me, I'm like, okay, we'll work on that. But it's very important that I am happy, that I am healthy, and that I am wealthy, because that supports everything else. Absolutely. In my head. So I'm sure other people feel differently.
No. So I absolutely can't thank you enough for sharing this, because I know you said it might be over, or it's used a lot, or this is the essence of who each of us are. It's I am, and then you have the choice to put whatever statements you want underneath that, right? And it's about that vibration that you're carrying. The moment you wake up, you have a choice, and your mind can focus on I am, and knowing what falls under I am is it's good health, it's your wealth, which is so important. You can always be manifesting more money in your life. Money is energy, and allows you to feel abundant and do abundant things, right? I am love. I'm so thankful that you're sharing that, and that everyone's hearing this. Beautiful, because you can see for where you are at in your life that you are very mindset driven. You are able to, your ability to be abundant in your life is because your mind is focused on positive mantras. Your mind is in the right place. So it's just you're a standing example. I want to give you an Emmy for the example that you're sharing with one pressing play on this,
It has to be when you wake up in the morning. I sometimes I feel like most people, or many people, wake up and they just hit the ground running. They get in the shower, they do this, they wash, rinse, you know what I mean? Without stopping and saying, today is a new day in my play. Who are you? Are you the director? Are you the writer? You're the producer, you're the casting director, you're the audience. It's like, you have to, set your mind around that, because that makes it easier. And I think a lot more, we have someone coming in.
Yes, but that's okay. We
bloopers. We ran over.
No, we're good. We're good. Yeah, no, we're good. Bloopers are a good thing, though. That's what I said to you before we hit record. I'm like,
they're a good thing.
If the dog's coming through, barking, noises, it's all a thing. But no, what you were saying though is it's so important for people to take a moment in the morning. Take a moment, even before you go to bed. Cleanse your energy from what you've picked up through your day. Your message is just so incredibly powerful for this mindset community. And I can't thank you enough for coming on and being vulnerable and sharing with us what your mantra is, because that is a personal, sacred thing. But it's the example we're trying to share here, that you guys are so powerful, and everyone has a beautiful 2-word story that fuels them to move forward through their life, and just put more positive vibration within your heart and your mind, and abundance will flow.
Abundance will flow. And that means more than just money. That means everything under that umbrella. And may I add one thing before we disconnect, is that when you're saying your mantras, envision yourself, or as I do, a lot of my friends are like, Sammi, you manifest so quickly. And I said, well, that's because I truly believe, because I'm connecting myself with the energy around me. So I surround myself in an abundance of white light. And then I say my 8 mantras 3 times each.
It's so beautiful. Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
Guys, for those that are watching and listening, like, you're hearing this for a reason. So maybe you grab your journal or make a few notes for yourself. Take a moment this week or today and think about I am, and what are the statements that flow through your heart with that mantra. It's the mantra share is here for all of us to think on it, right? So thank you for sharing, Sammi. It was so beautiful.
Namaste.
Namaste. And we're sending love to all of you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.